Hi, my name is Jeremy, and today I want to talk to you about the three things that your company needs to scale your business. So, first of all, let me just introduce myself a little bit. And this is the book that we'll be talking about. The ideas come from the book Scaling Up, and the author of this book is Vern Harnish. So, Vern Harnish is a great business teacher who has helped more than thousands of companies to scale their business with the concepts in this book. So today I wanted to share with you some of the experiences from this book. But first, let me tell you a little bit more about myself. So I'm Jeremy. I'm a scaling up coach, a Rockefeller Habits certified coach, and I work with CEOs across the region to bring scaling up to their companies. I work with their C teams and to help them to grow their business. And some of our clients over a period of 1 to 3 years have seen growth between 40 to 400%. So that's what I do. I work with CEOs to implement the concepts in this book, scaling up into their companies, and they see results from that. So, what are we going to be talking about today? So, first of all, I want to tell you two stories, and from these two stories, these are real stories from my clients or business people that I've encountered. And from from these two stories, we are going to take out three things that we're going to learn about scaling up your business. So, the first story I want to share with you is about this business owner, and I met her about 2 years ago when we were doing a course in Vietnam, and she came to talk to us after the workshop. And what struck me about this business owner was when she talked about her business, she started to cry. She was so stressed up about the business. She was so upset with how the business was going that she just broke down. And every day she asked for some time after the class to sit down and talk to us. And during that conversation, she will pour out all her frustration running the business. So, what are some of these things that that are really hindering her from scaling the business? So she actually grew this business from nothing over a course of about 15 years and took it to a business that's more than $20 million. So she's relatively successful building this business from nothing. They build travel accessories. So she's got her own factory, her own brands, and she's got a retail chain or branches and franchises across the Asia region. So by all means, actually, she is a very successful business owner. But she's actually hit a point where she felt she could not scale her business. And one of the things that she kept telling us is that it's so hard to scale the business because her key family members who make up her leadership team are all going in different directions. And because they're all going in different directions, every one of them has a different idea how they should run the business. And because of that, they were not able to agree on a strategy to go forward. And also, as a result of this disagreement and misalignment, they find it so hard to actually sit down and get things done. So, another to contrast that story with this one, I want to share you another business owner also in Vietnam and also an attendee of our program. Again, this is also another female entrepreneur. She started a education business about 7 years ago, and after growing that business for some time, she stagnated at 700 students. So she could not break beyond the 700 mark, and she attended our workshop. And what really surprises me is that after 2 years, she grew her business 400%, four times, right? And when I saw her again 2 years after she came to our class, she was in a process of buying a new campus building because the first one that she bought, she filled it up with about 3,000 students, and she was looking for another building. And when I asked her, tell me what are some of the things that you did that you feel you did successfully from what we have taught you, and how did it help you to scale your business? And she said, really, the main thing that really happened is that she was able to get a team of people to agree on the common purpose of this business. And then when you have got agreement, then you are able to come out with a strategy. So they were able to look at what works for the customers, or how do we actually sell our greatest value proposition and business model to the customer. And with that, they were able to come together and execute a strategy in a very systematic way. So what are some of these lessons we can learn from these two stories of two female entrepreneurs, both successful in their own right, but one was able to scale her business and break through a stagnation point, whereas the other one was stuck and could not go beyond a certain level in her business. So, what are the three things we can distill from these two stories about what our companies need if we want to scale our business? But first of all, let me ask you one question. Which story can you identify with? Which business owner do you identify with? Do you identify with the one that is stuck, who's frustrated, who's crying, who know that she's got a great business but she just can't scale it? Or do you identify with the other business owner who, after a point of stagnation, found a method to scale her business and was able to take it to a greater heights? Which one do you identify with? So today in this short video, I would just want us to ask ourselves some very honest questions so that we can apply some of these lessons that we have learned to the experience that you are facing now, and I hope you will be able to see some results. So the three lessons that I think we can distill from these two examples is the importance of having a team that is aligned and committed to a common goal. Now, this sounds like common sense, but do you know that the sad thing is that so many companies I work with, this is actually the number one reason why they are not able to scale their business, or they grew their business to a point before the disagreement, the misalignment will start to tear the business apart. The second thing that I think our companies need to scale is really a strategy that is simple. Why simple? It is only because when something is simple, people can agree and align towards. The problem with so many companies is they love complex strategies. And the third thing that I think is so crucial to scaling our business is really having a system of meetings that can turn strategy into results. Now, don't underestimate this because we spend a lot of times in meetings. How many of you find that you're spending too much time in meetings and you feel that it's not translating into results? So these are the three things that I see it happening in so many companies as the top three reasons why a company cannot scale. So let's talk about what do we do to deal with these three things. So I always like to start off by asking this question. What do you think is the biggest obstacle to scaling up the business? Do you think it's a question of mindset or skill set? Because the answer to this question will have a lot of implications on those three areas that we're going to be talking about. Right, so I think that the biggest obstacle to scaling up a business is mindset. It is firstly having a common spirit in the team, and this is what I call a play to win spirit. Because first of all, even before you can talk about what do we need to do to scale up, is the team in agreement that we want to scale the business? Now listen to that again. Is everyone in agreement that we want to scale the business? Now, a lot of companies actually pay lip service to growing the business, but not everybody really cares about scaling up the business. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. So, why do you have a case where people are not interested in scaling up the business? It is really because they do not believe in the goals that you set. So as a business leader, we need to really ask ourselves this question: what kind of a goals are we setting? First of all, do you have a goal that is so big and so meaningful that it will capture their very best efforts, which means that everybody will say this is worth doing. Now imagine people spend 9 to 10 hours a day working for you, working in your office, on your company, right? What are they building? Are they building a goal that's just yours, or do they share in what they believe is something meaningful? So this is actually where I want to talk a little bit about this thing called the $1 billion mistake plan. Right? So let me share with you a story. I work with a company that's about $500 million already, and they wanted to grow to become a $1 billion company. So they always say that, no, our great goal, our 10-year goal is to become a $1 billion company, right? So I keep asking them and said, do you really believe in that? Is that what gets you out of bed? Is that what you say you are prepared to fight for? So of course, when we ask them in the open, everyone said, "Yeah, with a $1 billion goal that unites us, we are aligned to this." But when I ask them this question, say, "Okay, how many of you?" I ask them, all of you, close your eyes, right, and tell me very honestly, how many of you, when you wake up in the morning and you look at all the challenges you face in the business and you say, "Yeah, the $1 billion goal motivates me to get out of bed and deal with all these problems. It's meaningful. I'm so excited." Guess, out of the 18 directors there that day, how many of them actually put up their hands? The answer is zero. None of them. So a lot of companies make this mistake, and that is they set a huge goal based on a dollar figure. And all the research shows that the dollars and cents does not motivate people beyond a certain point. So the first thing, I think, that if you want to align your team and get them committed, you need a goal that is meaningful. So you need to ask yourself, how are you setting that big goal, that big vision for the company? Is it to be number one? Is it to be a $1 billion company, or what? Think about that. What is really meaningful that will get people to fight for you? And the second thing I want to talk about now is a strategy that is so simple for everybody to align to. And I would like to challenge you to take this little test. Okay, so get your management team together and then in 30 seconds, write out what is your company's strategy in one sentence. Keyword here is in one sentence. Why only in one sentence? It's because we want to see whether people can understand that strategy and agree on that strategy. So, if you, most of the time when I would do this exercise with companies, you got 5 people, you're going to end up with 5 different sentences. You got 10 people, you're going to end up with 10 different sentences. What does that mean? It just means that our strategy is just too complicated. So I've worked with organizations where they love to write strategy that's as thick as a phone book. I know nowadays we don't have phone books, but back then, for those of you who remember, this big, thick book that nobody looks at is actually the phone book. And when we talk about the phone book, we talk about our strategic plans, we don't even look at it, right? It's like the phone book, we just chuck it in the corner. But why do people like to write such complex strategic plans? It's because it makes them feel clever, it makes them feel smart. And I have to tell a lot of my clients, look, guys, use simple words, short sentences. What you really want is clarity so that everybody can align. Now, it's harder to write strategy in a simple phrase than to write it in very complex terms. But that's actually what a lot of consultants do. They charge you a lot of money to write very complex and thick strategic documents for you, which you don't read, right? So what we really want to do is to help companies put their strategy into just one page. One page. So with this strategic plan, you can make it so simple that everybody knows what you're doing in 3 to 5 years, in 1 year, in the quarter, and what are our priorities that we will be driving at, our key KPIs that will make this strategy happen. Everything in one page. So that's my job. I work with companies to simplify their strategy so that everybody, every key member of the team has a copy of their one-page strategic plan so that everybody is aligned and clear. So the key word here today, or the key activity I want you to do after this exercise, is really get your team members together and ask them, write out the company's strategy in one sentence in 30 seconds and see what you've got. Remember, nobody can align to a strategy if he or she does not understand that strategy. So make it so simple that everybody knows. So, how do we actually make strategy simple? One of the very, very key activities we do is to work your strategy into what we call a one phrase strategy. So, to sum up that entire one page strategy that I've shown you earlier on, we want to make it even more simpler, and that is, how do we say our strategy in just one phrase? So everybody from the top of the organization to the bottom, they understand what is that one most important thing that we got to do. Remember, people are very busy. They're so busy that they will not be able to remember complex strategy. So we need to boil it down to just one phrase. So for example, Southwest Airlines has this strategy called Wheels Up. It's a one phrase strategy which captures that in everything that we do, we need to make this one thing happen and do it better than other people all the time. Everything in one phrase so that everybody has a common language and everybody can ask themselves this question: how does my role make this one thing happen? And the third point that we can derive from these two stories is the importance of meetings. Now, remember, we spend a lot of times in meetings, especially for management level leadership. We spend a lot of time in meetings, but do the meetings turn strategy into results? That's the key thing. So you look at, I like this picture, right? There's a guy who's just talking to himself, looking at his own numbers, but nobody really cares what's happening. So I have a client who once shared with me and said, we want to do the Rockefeller habit. So we want to apply scaling up in a company. So I started to work with them for some time. And then one day I just asked them this question. I said, hey guys, tell me, what is that one thing about scaling up that attracts you? And they told me this. They said that, Jeremy, in the last 30 years that we ran this business, for every Tuesday we have our management meeting, and it goes from 8 a.m. Listen to this, guys. It goes from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. That's how long their weekly management meetings are. And when I told them that, in the Rockefeller habits, we set a discipline for the weekly meeting to not exceed 90 minutes. So how do you do that? How do you put everything you need to talk about into 90 minutes and turn strategy into results? The important thing is to understand that great things are done by a series of small things put together, right? We need to take this big strategy that we have and break it down to what are we doing every week about that. And when all these small things are done, then that's when the strategy happens. So we want to spend our meetings talking about these small things that actually get things done. Let me share with you another story of another client. So I was talking to this CEO of a big electronics company, and one day he told me, what's the sad thing, Jeremy? I said, what is the sad thing that you're facing? And he said that, what, every end of the year, my corporate planning team comes up with a great strategic plan. And then I give it to the teams, but you know what? After one whole year, not a single thing was done. I asked him what happened. And he said that it's because all my leaders, when the year starts, they are firefighting. So what happens is that when we don't have that system to turn strategy into results, our meetings become confused, meant for firefighting, very reactionary, and people get very fed up. And they think that meetings are a waste of time because these meetings do not help them to get the results that they want. So I like what the CEO of McDonald's once said, because there was a few years ago, that their earnings were not so good, and all the Wall Street analysts were pressuring and saying, "What is your strategy? What are you going to do?" And he actually said, "We need to execute fewer things, but do them better." So the key to actually getting strategy into results is not having more strategy or more complex things, but it's really, do you have a system of meetings that take these strategies and plans and turn them into actions, because only actions will give you results. So what do we focus on? There are three things that we need to have in our meetings. The first is we need to know what are our priorities. Sounds like common sense, but just ask yourself this question: how many meetings have you sat in that has got no priorities? It just goes on and on and on, right? Dealing with reactionary things. So this is where we take our quarterly goals and we break it down into weekly priorities. What do I need to do every week to make sure I achieve my quarterly goals? So this is actually where you hedge against the firefighting. You have enough time. You need to spend a lot of time dealing with those urgent things, but you also have a focus, a clear priority that is focused on turning the strategy into results. The second thing, matrix. How do we measure? What are you measuring? So what we want you to understand is to measure those weekly things. How do I know that when I broke that big strategy into what to do every week, I will measure what I'm doing every week, and I know that when I do that, I will get there. And the last one, which is the most important, is actually the rhythms, which is like the heartbeat of the organization. How do we keep the momentum going? And this is where you need to have a discipline in the meeting. And in the meeting, you need to know what you are tracking, when you are tracking, and what you are going to be doing if things don't meet the results. So let me share with you what I do with companies. We help them to set up a dashboard. So in this dashboard, you can see you have got lagging indicators, which is a result, and you also have got leading indicators, which is an action. So remember, we talk about priorities and focus actions, and of course, a critical number. It's like send out 8 proposals a week. That's a matrix. And then we use a color code to show you the relationship between the results that we want and the actions. So the results always start off with red because it's cumulative. But what you want to do is to see and track consistent action until you start to see the results start to change from red to yellow to green. And this way you'll be able to see that you are going in the right direction and that your meetings are helping people to turn strategy into results. So this is the simple outcome that we have seen in our own company and even in many different companies. Before we applied the Rockefeller habits in our own company, we used to spend 3 hour, 4 hour day long meetings, which with no outcomes, no accountability, just a lot of blaming, a lot of anger, and these meetings make us so negative that when people come out of it, they're none the wiser about what to do. But with the Rockefeller habits, we cut our meetings to just 90 minutes a week. It is all very focused on the dashboard, which guides us in our priorities every week. So, out of all the so many millions of things we need to do every week, what are those 3 most important things, the actions that you must take that will drive the results? So, that becomes a priority and a focused matrix. And the next one would be results are transparent because now everybody can see what everybody's doing. It aligns the team. Remember we started off by saying that most important thing is to have a team that's aligned, right? So you need a team that's able to move in one direction, and having a dashboard and a regular rhythm of meeting gets everybody aligned in that direction. And of course, now when people are moving together in the same direction, understanding what are the priorities that will turn strategy into results and tracking that with transparency and accountability, the meetings increase our productivity. So we become a well-oiled machine that turn strategy into actions and actions into results. And that's really the key to scaling up a business. So to sum up, what are the 3 things that a company needs to scale up their business? First, a team that is aligned and committed to a common goal. Remember, if you are using money as the common goal, a big financial target, think again, because all the research shows that it does not motivate people beyond a certain point. What you really want to do is set a goal that gives them a very, very strong sense of meaning and purpose. Second is to have a strategy that's so simple everybody can understand. Drop out all the complex words, long sentence structures, big paragraphs. What are you exactly going to do? What is that one thing, if you can boil it down, that must be done that will give you an edge above all your competitors? The simpler, the better, so that everybody in your organization from top to bottom can say, how do I contribute to that? And the last one is you need a rhythm of meetings, a type of meetings that will turn strategy into results. Now, all the meetings that we set with our clients when we work with them to implement the Rockefeller habits is really about building a very disciplined way of running meetings. So I used to hate to have meetings, but now meetings are time that get things done. And when people see things being done, they actually like the meetings because it helps them to be more productive. So these are the 3 things: building a team that's aligned and giving them a goal that gives them commitment. Second, a strategy is so simple for them to follow. And third, a set of meetings that help them to turn the strategy into results. So 3 questions for you to ask yourself at the end. Do you think your team is aligned, healthy, and focused on a common goal? Can everyone in your team articulate the company's strategy and, more importantly, state how they are contributing to it? And last one is, do your people hate having meetings? Right? You may want to ask yourself why. So I hope that these three points that I've shared with you will be helpful. They come from the 4 decisions framework: people, strategy, execution, and cash. In today's short little video, I didn't talk about cash, but you can see that these 3 things, people, strategy, and execution, working closely together to give you a integrated way to scale your business. So once again, my name is Jeremy. Thank you for listening in for this video. I hope I've shared with you something that you can take and use with your team. And if you need more help, please get in touch with us. This is Growth Catalyst, our company, and you can drop us a mail at grow@growthcatalyst.com.sg if you have questions, or if you want links to other videos, you think this video is useful, you can connect with us and get to our channel, and you can watch the other videos. Or if you want to do a diagnostic test that will tell you how ready your business is to scale, and get in contact with us to have a dialogue on that, get in touch with us through this email. We will send you a diagnostic test, and we hope you can scale your business. So thank you very much for listening in, and I look forward to seeing you again for other videos so that I can share with you our experience helping so many companies across the region and help you to scale your business. Thank you.